So, you know, just testing audio at this point. Just seeing how I sound in the microphone after Satan literally trying to hijack humanity in front of my eyes because he knows I'm right. And you know what's really fucked up? What's really fucked up is that partially it's on me because I was too dumb enough. I was too fucking stupid. And just a heads up, this episode, if I even put it out, which, I honestly might not. Because, it's just, I'm just recording because I need to remember. Because when I don't remember, when things like that happen and I don't remember, it makes me feel like I'm being fucked with and made to forget who I am as a person and everything I've experienced, everything I know. And I'm trying to help humanity here. I'm trying to, I did the episode earlier today, Sims 6. And I recorded that episode with good intentions, believe it or not. And it turns out when I went to go help my mom move, and I was blaming God for what was happening in my life and in the world. Well, not really, because I've been right about a lot of things. I know that. And that's why it's not God. Because God agrees with me. And I was blaming the wrong afterlife, almighty power. I don't even know if you can call Satan almighty. You can call him fucking so dark and sinister. Because he knows I'm right about pretty much everything. That's the thing. And I was fucking idiot for so long, not even really. I mean, briefly, once or twice I thought about that. But, I thought that God would eventually have more power. Or he always had more, say, in the way the world, good versus evil, compared to Satan, just because it's God. Good always wins. You ever watch a superhero movie and the bad guy wins? Only one of them. Infinity War. Great ending to a movie, though, I'm going to be honest. It was really one of the best. I didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody thought Thanos was going to get all the stones and kill half of humanity. Not a single person. That's why it was so good. Because the good guys lost. They lost one. And Thanos, that's the thing about Thanos. He actually makes a lot of good points. That's what's so unfortunate. He really, really does. And you almost kind of you want to hate him when you see him. But he's kind of badass looking. And he has the Infinity Stones. He whooped the Hulk's ass without any of the stones. Okay? So put some respect on the dude's name. But he is a wise, intelligent, very meticulous, and methodical with his initiative and his motives. It's not like he's just out here killing people for fun and no reason. Like Ted Bundy. No, I don't know, obviously he has experience in wiping out half the population on planets he's got a little bit more experience in that field than I do. But you notice how I start talking about some serious shit and then I'm steered toward talking about Thanos for 5 minutes and then I totally forget what the fuck I was talking about? Yeah. I wonder who's meddling in my thoughts on that one. It ain't God. I'll tell you that, folks. And I'm just gonna start whenever something like that happens. I'm just gonna stop it and go back and re-listen to the entire episode. Yeah. We yap. We say the things we do all day, every day. So Hayden get to the point where he gets into heaven. Finally, he breaks in. Finally, he gets there. He gets there because we all said the things that we said at the times that we said them. That would be the fake schizophrenia. I mean, if you're going to be a mental illness, at least be a real mental illness. Not a fake one. A pretend, phony fraud. I mean, imagine being a bunch of voices in somebody's head. Talk, yep, running their beaks all day, all night. What do they do when you're sleeping? I don't know. Probably nothing. But at least be a real mental illness. Not because of like, this is purgatory or whatever. And just a heads up, FYI, this episode's going to be a bit daunting. And this is because, multiple reasons. Because it's bleak world, but it's all for good. It's all been part of the plan, and that I trust, that I believe. And also, a couple of days ago, let me just touch on the fake schizophrenia again, because let me just be real here. To anybody who maybe finds this podcast after I ascend into heaven, just a FYI, if you think that you might be in a coma dream or in a simulation, that these voices or voices that sound like people in your life, like your neighbor, your downstairs neighbor, and if the voices are pretending to be your neighbor and they're yep, literally like playing with your life, because what the fuck else are they gonna do? They're fake skits. If it was real skits, it'd probably be more fun, because then you could like get a bunch of anxiety medication and actually feel somewhat comfortable talking to people in your life, because they wouldn't be brainwashed and controlled literally by Satan, because that's what's happening, folks. It's just the truth. And I'm making this episode because I know this is purgatory. I know I've had another life before this one, and this is why I'm in purgatory. I don't know if this is everybody's purgatory. It's not really for me to decide. That's up to God. I leave that stuff up to the big man, who I've met, I've seen. Go find all the Easter eggs throughout all the previous episodes, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I talk about some pretty serious shit. A lot of shit. The kind of shit that the Illuminati, the elites, the people running the world, apparently, quote unquote. Not very well, if you consider the information that I know. Not doing too well at it, I'll just put it that way. This is the kind of information in all my previous episodes that I think that people should know. They should know. Some of it, it may... At other times, I say to myself, well, maybe people shouldn't know this information because it might literally cause the suicide rates to spike, murder rates to spike, rape rates to spike. It might even start World War III. I'm not even, trying to toot my own horn because it's pretty sinister, the things that Satan is doing in real time, in real life, to people that I love and care about. That's why, family, that's why I haven't really been very present lately. Imagine that. I've been ignoring all of you because I love ya. Imagine that. What a nice guy I am. And I figured, you know what? This is the kind of information that obviously the Illuminati and the people who sell their souls in what they might think is purgatory, or they think that, oh, you know what? The afterlife is not real. There is no heaven or hell, so why would I not sell my soul? You don't go anywhere after you die. Which is what I thought for a good portion of my life. But over the last 8 months, man, I kind of got a buzz going. I got a fat lip in and I'm ripping cigs. That's the way to do it. But since I had that quote-unquote vision, which was really back when I thought this might be a coma dream, I got arrested for doing drugs in my car and falling asleep while doing a stimulant, which doesn't add up at all, obviously. You're not supposed to be falling asleep when you take stimulants. It's literally the opposite when I'm not smoking heroin. But after I got arrested and I was still kind of high, I hadn't had water for about 2.5 days, give or take. And I've gone over this a couple times on a previous couple episodes, but I'm just going to explain my kind of thought process on all of this and how I came to terms with what reality is. And why anybody listening to this episode and all the previous episodes should take me seriously and actually not just put it off as mental illness or drugs or psychosis or any of that shit. Or maybe it's all a bit and I'm just doing a joke. Because laughter is the best medicine. There's a lot on the mind when it comes to this kind of stuff. And so after I got arrested, I was taken to the hospital. Well, I was taken to the Stillwater County Courthouse. And then, I don't know, the police officer went in the courthouse. And then he came back out and brought me to the hospital in Stillwater, right down the street from my buddy's old place. On Greeley Street. And they took my blood, a blood test, toxicology, whatever, to see what was in my system. I don't know why, if that's even legal, probably not. I didn't really consent to it, or maybe I did, and if I did, I was so out of it, because I hadn't had water in 2 days, 3 days. And I think I was sick as well. And I wasn't even really on drugs at the time because I really haven't gotten high. I've gotten high like twice in the last year because of a statement I made to my friend. And ever since that moment, I haven't really gotten high. And every time I have gotten high, it's not even really me getting high. It's literally just like a weird energy boost with no high. So I don't feel the, what is it, the euphoric stimulant effect of like Adderall, if you take a bunch of Adderall. But I get like an energy boost, kind of. But not like a jittery, like high. It's like a weird influx of motivation sometimes. And then when I do get high, it's filled with like anxiety and like paranoia, which is not really what getting high is either. But after, while I was getting driven there, the police officers on the police scanner radio thing were saying certain words, certain ways, very weirdly. And basically, they would do, like, say certain street addresses or police codes, and I would be like, that's weird. This is back when I thought everybody could read my mind, because I thought this was a coma dream. And they probably could read my mind at the time. Or maybe they honestly probably could. Because in the last 14 months to 30 months, all of my fear and anxiety and thoughts have kind of projected themselves into reality in a really, really weird way. And kind of made things in my reality true. And this is exactly why I'm doing the episode. Because I've come to terms with this is purgatory, but it's not. Or maybe it is everybody's purgatory. And everybody has their own path they go down. But I'm doing this in case it is solely my purgatory. And, another guy or girl comes into this world and it's their purgatory then. That's kind of what I came up with, an idea that kind of saved humanity in a way. You're welcome. No big deal. But literally, I came up with an idea because I literally realized that this, and I have a hard time telling one story and like focusing on one subject at a time. So bear with me, deal with it. Basically, I realized that this is my purgatory. Because the main reason being that a lot of people in my family would already have gone to heaven. A lot of people would have. People would be disappearing. There'd be missing people reports everywhere all the time. Or maybe everybody has their own path in life and gets to heaven, which I have seen, which I'm get to in a second. Gets to heaven at the time that they need to get to heaven, which, for me personally, God, I'm not hating on you, man. I know my time's right around the corner, and for that I'm very grateful. But basically, I came up with an idea. If this is my purgatory, that would theoretically mean that everybody in this world might possibly just disappear and die, essentially, or cease to exist the moment I go to heaven or hell. And I could go to heaven or hell before even dying. And I know this because of that night in that jail cell. And so basically what I'm trying to say is that if this was my purgatory, somebody born at any point in this world, they could have been born already. They could be 10 years old. They could be 50. Or they could not be born yet, and they could be literally born at the time of my ascending into heaven. Or it could be everybody ascends to heaven or goes to hell or goes to another purgatory. But it's not a coma dream. I'll just say that. It's not a coma dream. So you can all rest easy knowing that. And basically that person, upon me going to heaven, and I know I won't be going to purgatory because I'll try to fuck. I'm so bad at God, I want some water so bad right now. Holy shit. But basically, they would replace me as this being their purgatory, So I kind of saved everybody's life to a certain extent with that idea. For that alone, I probably should go to heaven just for being a wise guy and coming up with that. Because I did come up with that, not even thinking of myself. I had no selfish intentions on the conscious string of thoughts that came up with that idea. But this is all, this is probably one of the more real episodes. Not very funny. Deal with it. So, yeah. That's that's one of my favorite ideas, honestly, that I've had, is saving everybody's life, kind of. So, that's another reason why I'm doing this episode, is because in case somebody in my situation is, going through something, struggling, wondering what the hell is going on in their life and why all this fucked up shit keeps happening. Do they think they're in a dream? What is going on? Is this a simulation that's playing with their fucking life? Is, the devil trying to get them to sell their soul? That's why I'm doing this episode, is because maybe this will find the right person at the right time, and they can come to terms with God and my higher power, which, I'm pretty open-minded. I'm agnostic, but I'm also not, because I've seen God. I've kind of met him that night in that jail cell. So if anybody is, and my family too, whatever, I'll see you up there. This is not the place for me to, spend time with family, if you catch my drift. Not really anymore. And lately, not so much lately, but for the last 2.5 years, I had basically schizophrenia without having schizophrenia, because I've come to realize that it was a combination of me thinking this is a coma dream and the internet reading my mind, responding to my thoughts, which I now believe it was Satan, the devil, or it was God, or both. It's really hard for me to even realize which one is which, because I don't know. I think it was probably God, and at times it was Satan too. The whole mind reading thing, it all times up perfectly with 2 car accidents that I had, though, in the past. So, 2.5 years ago I had one, and that's when I thought everybody was trying to cancel me. Then 14 months ago I had one. And after that moment, the internet pretty much the next day started responding to my thoughts, started responding to things that, before the accident, they were responding to things that I was doing in my personal life. Like, I thought there was a camera in my fucking room, and I thought my neighbors were part of the Illuminati. And no, they weren't my neighbors. It wasn't my neighbors talking to me through the floor. It was fake schizophrenia. So this episode is to help, and I say this because for some reason I hope, maybe this will put my family at ease when I ascend into heaven, or this will help somebody who's trying to figure their way through life at the same time as my family may be wondering what the hell happened to me. Don't worry, family. I'm in heaven. I'm not missing. I didn't run away. I am where I need to be, where I belong, with who I belong therewith. Yeah, I need some fucking water. Oh, fuck, I wasn't going to drink any water, though. And the reason I wasn't going to drink any water is because that night in that jail cell, I was sleeping and crying like a little pussy baby bitch in the jail cell because I didn't want to be in jail, and I thought I might be in jail for a long time because I had drug possession. Apparently, they don't really care in this state anymore if you even have like a 1/4 of an ounce of hard drugs. They just let you out the next day. That's literally what happened to a friend of mine. Not that much, that amount. He had an 8-ball, but literally, they let him out the next day, and he has like outpatient treatment. So clearly, they've decriminalized drugs, and they're not locking people up for decades for getting high because they have fucked up shit going on in their life and they don't want to be sober. Because who the fuck wants to be sober when traumatic shit is going on in your life? And the more you think about it, the more it increases. Which is a pretty funny bit. That's a funny bit. I'll be right back. I gotta... Fuck! So the main thing I really wanted to talk about was just, all the hoopla, all the hubbub going around town. And really just turn to God, everybody. I believe that ever since I turned to the Lord, my higher power, I've been tested for sure. My faith has been tested. And it's become much more apparent to me that it was never... The reason why I thought it was a coma dream for so long, or, thought it might be, and I just needed to prove it to myself or whatever. Because, just ask yourself, people, if you realized reality around you was kind of like changing based on jokes you made and thoughts you had and things you wrote down and said, and really deep subconscious shit from like your childhood was projecting itself into reality, what would you do? because, I mean, if your life is the only life that you know of, and I mean, I don't know about other people, but there are probably a dozen things that could have put me in a coma. I could be 12 coma dreams deep. But if the world feels and looks like it always has in terms of physically, aside from the shape shifting and the skinwalkers and the Bo Meltons, my uncle being a member of Pink Floyd, who my uncle is in his mid 30s, but Pink Floyd has been around for over 50, 60 years. And he looks like his twin. If, basically, but it's not like, what am I trying to say? I'm losing my train of thought. Like woke culture, that's just one of them, for example. That's just one of the things where it's like, okay, woke culture. Woke, which is a term that started in, I believe, right around the time I could have gotten into a coma. Woke culture origination. Now, I don't believe it's a coma dream, obviously, but this is for anybody who may be experiencing something in the future. Obviously, they wouldn't know me or have any relation to me. Origination. But that's all part of God's plan. Woke is a political slang adjective derived from African American vernacular English, originally meaning alertness to racial prejudice and discrimination. A history of wokeness. I'm pretty sure it started right around the time of 2016. 2014, so 2 years before that. And this is the thing with the internet, you know what I mean? It's like, no matter what my mindset is, I feel like it's a bit difficult for me to do accurate research. Stay woke. Stay woke. I mean, yeah. I could go through a whole laundry list of things, but I'm not really. I mean, I might. What was the original intention? Oh, yeah, Satan. But ever since that first car accident in December 2021, Satan seems to be giving human beings mental illnesses like schizophrenia. This is from my personal experience. Insomnia, depersonalization, derealization, dissociative identity disorder, which is split personality in a different term, and any other mental illness, really. PTSD. Now, I don't really have anxiety and depression anymore, which is kind of ironic. I'm just gonna say that. I mean, I'm depressed about the fact that I'm not in heaven, really. I'm depressed that I didn't turn to faith sooner. To be quite frank, I got really distracted by a lot of things, but that was, I wouldn't appreciate heaven if I hadn't have gone through those things, and that's really my belief. I'm not gonna lie. Ahead of no, I'm just kidding. And looking back on my life, I'm thinking, man, probably like 90% of it was pretty, not that difficult. Even when I was a teenager, an older teenager, I was such a pussy. I was an emotional middle school girl who hasn't quite hit her period yet. Which I don't know if they're more emotional afterwards, but I was both combined. So imagine that. Imagine like having a panic attack and like this girl you're. Jesus. Jeez, I'm not even saying like I'm trying not to curse towards God now. This is how much I recommend turning to faith, everybody. God is real. I've seen him. I saw him. I saw heaven. I just did. And I've disproved that this is a coma dream. I've disproved that this is a dream. Of course it's not a dream. I mean, what the fuck? And I disproved heaven. I disproved hell. I pretty much I disproved simulation as well. I can go through all of them right now just for the hell of it. It's not hell because back when I was very intrigued by buildings popping up overnight, and I mean, that was pretty much it. Just crazy, weird shit going on in the city when I would do deliveries. I was, obviously I was intrigued. It sparked like not euphoria, nostalgia, I guess, and like, I don't even know, like dumb Magic Tree House. Which is just so stupid to think about. I know it's not very, you know, they're probably thinking, Jesus, is he doing like a. I just think it's good to try to make yourself laugh. Because without laughter, man, holy shit, I would have committed suicide probably a long time ago. And I haven't. And maybe that was to do this episode and to spread the word to anybody and everybody who listens who maybe, yeah, I said, struggling with yada, yada, yada. I'm here to at least give the little bit of knowledge that I have in terms of, it being the year 2024 and this being possible. Back 20 years ago, you couldn't even do something like this. Record your audio and just put it online for possibly eventually 12 people to listen to it. So now I can do that. Now a dozen people, maybe a baker's dozen, can listen to my podcast. Half of them being me. Because I re-listen to them just to jog my memory about things. So tell your friends and family about the Because podcast if you want them to know the truth about reality. I'm doing a bit about the drugs. It's all a joke. I'm kidding. You know what I mean? I did get arrested in November, but hey, man, I did it one day. That's how much the state government and police do not care about drugs. So, if you got a problem with the dude on the podcast smoking weed or whatever, take it up with them. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I had a pretty good life for the most part. That's that's one reason why I believe that the most recent 10% of it, which it feels like, I'm not even gonna lie, I know it's only been 10% of my life, but it really feels like, it feels like I remember normalcy, you know? I remember I remember society not being the way it is now. I remember that. And the timing of certain things really is crazy, but that's just God at work. I know that. Every second that passes, my faith grows, my belief grows, and, you know, I say I'm lower than I was 8 months ago when I saw God. That's really because I'm still here and I'm not up there. And I really want to be. Like, I really want to be. So, yeah. What did I say about, yeah. Would I start with hell? Jeez, man. I lose my fucking train of thought a lot of the times. But that's alright. I kind of like, talking into a microphone. I really like doing this a lot. But don't worry, everybody. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about yourself. Well, worry about yourself, obviously, sometimes. But in terms of what I mean is, don't blame yourself for, you know, don't think that I'm just doing like a fucking joke or a bit here. I didn't run away, so you probably will not hear from me. And that's okay, because clearly life here is a bit, for me and those around me, despite my somewhat mild efforts, I'm trying to, bring a little bit of lightheartedness to the situation, considering it's a lot better than being depressed as fuck. You know, there's certain things I don't want to think about, just because it's just really shocking to me. Like, I've been in shock for like a day and a half. And then at other times, I find myself completely emotionless. And I'm like, jeez, man, what is happening to me? I need to see God again from another vision. And I need to, I would prefer this happen before I'm, like, just lost. And, because I tried the whole coma dream thing. I really, really tried. And that's another topic that I'm not going to keep throwing in God's face. For a couple months there, I was trying to do anything with the intent of doing, not trying. Do or do not try. Do or do not, there is no try. It's a Yoda quote. They still left that one in the movie. They took the one out that I tattooed on my arm, though. Like literally, Yoda didn't even say it in the movie when I watched it most recently. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. So that was a real, good one to get tatted on the arm. But they took it out of the movie completely. I didn't hear it at all. And no, it wasn't because I went deaf. But for a couple months there, I really, really was. Back when I was like, all right, I was really stuck between coma dream and simulation theory. I couldn't, simulation theory was really, I didn't believe or trust anything at all. The TV, anything I read at all. I just thought it was the simulation fucking with me because the simulation was for some reason either one convinced that either I knew this was a coma dream or is a coma dream, two, which would insinuate that everybody in this world and the dream world would essentially dissipate and cease to exist. Of course, the simulation wouldn't want that. Or two, number two would be that I, while in a coma dream, or in purgatory, or in the real world, quote unquote, where humanity and technology have advanced to a point that we can't even comprehend, essentially, and you could upload your consciousness into a simulation and live a bunch of life cycles in a matter of simply just a few minutes. Like you could smoke a cigarette and your girlfriend could live like 5 lives in a simulation and be back like that. So, that was the number two where, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to, yeah, whatever. I don't give a shit. I had an idea for I didn't start writing it or, typing about it or anything like that about like a TV show or a book series that, and if anybody steals this idea, I swear to God, you're paying my entire family everything for my idea. That a dude who was either, in a coma dream, in a purgatory, or uploaded his consciousness into a simulation, literally got trapped inside the simulation because the simulation computer that he hooked his consciousness up to, basically, he either fucked up, inputting the settings and the code before he uploaded, which would be me in this hypothetical scenario, or eventually over time as the computer progressed and advanced, was able to rewrite its code and make it so he would not be able to get out of the simulation and be pulled out based on the previous written settings. The simulation would be able to do that, which would not be a smart thing for the simulation to do at any point, obviously, especially if the consciousness is even hooked up to the simulation for a couple seconds. My brain would be able to take over the simulation and pull me out like that. But back then I was convinced that the simulation somehow knew this information and wanted me to kill myself, so then I would just have another life cycle and restart with a new life. That's what I was really stuck on, and that's what I thought the simulation was trying to do. Because every time I thought about killing myself to wake up from a coma dream, I would get anxiety and fear, and my body would get hot as fuck, which doesn't make sense now that I know that it's purgatory. Because that happens when I think about not killing myself. Satan does that to me now. Things don't compute. But back then, that's why I was so fucked up in the head in January, February, March, and even a little bit of April, I guess. Yeah, yeah. Those 4 months, I was toast. I was like, and that was when I also heard of in March, I realized you can go check out episode 20 if you want to hear what the fuck is going on there. The thought insertion, which at the time I thought was the simulation. Really, really not cool stuff. These are the things that the elites and the Illuminati do not want anybody to know about. But I'm here to tell you that God, my higher power, who I've met and seen, yeah, will hopefully save you, as I have faith in Him saving me. Because I saw Him 8 months ago, and I was a piece of shit back then. I just was. So anything that happened during that span of 3 to 4 months, I really couldn't trust, especially at the beginning, like January and February. So, February and March, I was like really fighting with myself because I watched Shutter Island and I said, all right, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, if I see this name on the bottom four names of the credit scene of Shutter Island, then I'll go to the bridge and jump off. And I saw the name, the first name, and there were two middle names, and then the last name was Meyer, Meyer, my last name. So I was like, holy shit. And I haven't even looked up that name online, which is kind of dumb, but the internet is cool. Really helpful a lot of the times. So when I saw that name, the first name being one of the two names that I said, if I see this name, I'll go do that. Talking to my former self, who I thought was trying to wake up from a coma. But I was also really like, well, that could have been the simulation, just wanting me to kill myself because then I'll restart my life cycle, like the book series and show, where the guy just gets stuck in an endless loop of torturing life cycles with no memory of the previous life. So that's why I was like, I got to the bridge, and I just fucking sat there and just like got high for like an hour or two because when you think it might be a coma dream and you're not quite sure, and then you ask your former self, all right, you want me to kill myself, show me this, and then that happens, like one thing that you wanted to have, two things or three, none of them really beneficial at all to me or my family, to be quite honest. And the name on the credit scene of a movie which is about like schizophrenic patients who are so bad in the United States they can't stay at the regular psych wards. So they send them to an island. That's what Shutter Island's about. That's where the movie takes place, on an island full of the worst mentally ill patients in the country. And, I really thought the simulation was just trying to get me to kill myself. Because, but that also doesn't add up with when I would want to kill myself to wake up, I would get fucked with. Which was kind of right around the same time. So none of this makes any sense when I really think about it. And I'm not mad at God. I'm mad at myself for not really realizing some of these things. that was right around the same time. I mean, it wasn't exactly parallel in the time frame, but obviously, of course, this is episode 23. That's my favorite number. Now, this is a joke or a bit, all right? Yeah. So obviously, after getting high for like 2 hours outside, down the street from the bridge by the Matrix Outlet Mall, which they just finished constructing, which is, if you want to get stuck in a Matrix, go to the Outlet Mall. It's by the Smith Bridge. Just southwest of downtown St. Paul. Has anybody seen Inception? It's a good movie. A dream within a dream within a dream within a dream. I think they go 4 dreams deep at the end of it because I don't know why. They never even fucking take the... I might have talked about this already, but they literally went 3 dreams deep to extract information out of this dude's vault in his dreams. And then they all get to the vault and they all just leave. They never get the information. The Scarecrow from Batman Begins. He's also in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Good for him. But that was the entire point of the last 60% of the movie. And they never even, nobody, like, they pull themselves out of each of the dreams at the same time. And then they wake up and they're like all looking at each other like, oh my God, we did it. On the airplane? They didn't do anything. They literally did nothing in the dream. And I remember watching that movie like multiple times, even like 6 months ago or a year ago. I realized like 6 months ago, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Am I just so stuck in my head that I don't even realize they never even got the information? And the dude doesn't even get the information, I don't think. He just says hi to his dead dad, who's like dying in a hospital bed inside of a vault. That's literally... It makes no sense. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm going to go back since I kind of forgot what I was talking about, of course. You see how that happens all coincidentally? So, as I was saying, has anybody ever gone like a period of 4 to 6 months after they got out of jail and they were like, oh man, I really, I got a little distracted there, Laura. That's my fault. So, that's on me. But I really felt like, you know what? I'm not going to abandon my mother until I win her the lottery, because I can do that in a coma dream. This is a dream. That's how I would end my dream. That's what I'm going to do. That's the way I'm going to end my dream. And then I'm out. And then you, over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, give or take, probably about 5 or 6, you're doing deliveries and you're running around and the wind's talking to you Morse code and da 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 da. And some of them you get from the internet, some of them you don't. Some of them you get from just being out in the world and seeing certain numbers so many times. You're like, okay, I saw that number the most today, so I'm going to choose that one. And then literally over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, 28 to 42 days, you come up with a combination of a total of 88 total sets of 6 numbers. The first 5 numbers ranging anywhere from 1 to 70 or 1 to 69, depending on which lottery. And then the sixth number ranges from anywhere from 1 to 25, depending on which lottery. And then, the other one is 1 to 26. It's really a coinky dink? Time. So, time, every time I heard the word time from the internet or read it or heard it on the radio or heard it out in the world or saw it, whatever, I would look at the clock and I would add the hour and the minute hand. So right now it's 3:17 a.m. So if I heard the word time, like I just said it, that would be the number 20. Boom. That's one of the lottery numbers. You want to know what the highest combination of hours and minutes you can get? Well, that would be 12:59 a.m. or p.m. It doesn't matter. Guess what number that adds up to? That would be 71. The highest number in the Powerball or the Mega Million, I can't remember which one it is. One of them has a max number of 70, and then the Powerball or Mega Ball would be 25, and the other one has the highest number of 69, and the Powerball or the Mega Ball would be number up to 26. 69 and 70. 71 is the highest you can go on the clock for time. Time's been very significant in my life. It really is just kind of sped up and gone really, really, really fast sometimes. Kind of like a coma dream, but it's not. you know, that's a little bit of a coincidence, don't you think? Yeah, there's a few of those. So, after you gather up what would be, so that's 6 numbers. I don't think I gathered up a mega ball or power ball for every single 80 total number of 88 combinations. So that's like 2 a day essentially. I don't know why so many. Maybe it was a little bit less per day. But, let's just say 6 times 88 would be fucking Jesus. I don't want to even do the math right now. That's the thing. 880 minus 88 times 4 would be 320, 352. So what would that be? 880 minus 352, 528. I'm gonna check the calculator just to be sure. Yeah, 528. So that's the total amount of numbers during that time that I conjured up or saw or wrote down. I actually have a sheet of it. It's pretty insane. I mean, everybody's done this, obviously, right? And then what you obviously do next is, after all those numbers don't work, every time you play the lottery over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, you have 88 rows of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the sixth one is either the Mega Ball or the Powerball. So you take the first row and go down for all of the 88 combinations, and you add every single one up, one by one by one by one by one by one, over and 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 over. That's another thing I said when I was trying to win the lottery. I said that to the internet. Just give me the lottery numbers, universe, over and 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 over. Ha ha. So the first column, it's going to obviously be the least numbers wise, like total, because it's usually a lower number. And then everybody does this, duh. So I don't even know why I'm talking about it. and then you just do the median, the average. So the total of all of the 88 numbers divided by 88. And that's actually, it was 89, and 90 was the median and average. So yeah, it was 89, excuse me, 90 total when you do all the math. I think at least 2 or 3 times I did the math for every single row. So I put in my work. This is back when I, was really into winning the lottery for my mother and my family, when I thought it was a dream. And then I did the second row, it's going to be larger than the first row for the median average. And you just do that, which is a lot of math. It's a lot of addition. And if you lose track, which I did a few times, obviously everybody does this all the time. Why would you not do something like this? What are you going to get, a quick pick? And then, I'd be interested to see that list again. God, I hope I didn't throw it away. That'd be a shame. It's like what I imagine Edward Daniels would write. During his permanent stay at the lighthouse. Never to leave the lighthouse. But I don't even know why I'm talking about this kind of stuff, because this is like normal shit everybody does all the time. So that's my bad, God. I really did. It's tough. I should have. Clearly, I don't give a shit about winning the lottery now. I really, 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 really. I put my heart, sweat, my blood, sweat, and tears into it. I really did. It's like when you do that for 5 months, all day, every day, when you're out doing deliveries out in the world, so you see a lot of numbers, like addresses, words. So a while there, the internet was being too much of a pussy to just tell me the numbers, which back then, before I even knew or believed it could be purgatory, that would have been the time to do it. Because I thought it was a dream, But, that's why heaven. Which I get why they didn't give it to me back then, but it's like, okay, well, things have gotten severely more fucked up. And I'm still here. Which is partially on me. But also, it's been 8 months. It's, you know, I really didn't turn to faith until the last 5 weeks or so. Because something in my mind told me it was a coma dream. I don't know what that was. That was probably that. What it did feel like false to it intuition. I'm not even gonna lie. Plus, ever since I figured out the internet was talking about my future, sometimes years in advance, it'd be kind of dumb to go get a job at Weenie Hut Juniors down the street. You know what I mean? Or Super Weenie Hut Juniors. It'd kind of be the dumb move. So I thought, you know what? Let's go with the lottery. Let's do that one. The internet never gave me one single number right from any of the upcoming drawings. Not one single time ever. I'm hungry. You probably heard that, didn't you, Mike? Yeah, I know. I should go eat something. So when you do that all day, every day for like 150 straight days, it's a new kind of like psychosis. Because after like 145 days, you're like, I start like looking around and I'm like, I am looking everywhere I can imagine for numbers or words with 1, 2, or 3 syllables because the internet was too pussy to tell me the lottery numbers. I got a bit strayed from the path on that thought. And I thought, you know what? After fucking asking them, I was like, all right, so maybe they won't do that. They won't do that. I said, all right, a 2, instead of it being a 2, is a 7. A 3 is an 8. A 4 is a 9. A 1 is a 6. You just go to the opposite of the 5. I'm like, we'll try that since, you won't just tell me the numbers. Which is, whatever. I don't know who or what or why. Who cares? Lucifer lost this one. You know what I mean? Lucifer. You lost, big man. Little bitch. I'm just letting you know. Every time my faith increases, I'm not going to kill myself. Not going to go to hell. Not selling my soul. I've gone over this in a different episode. Ever. Either my soulmate or whoever or whatever. Who cares? The sun's coming up. Well, slowly. You got a couple hours. So that's when I like get jittery. It's like, yeah, I've already talked about the sundowners. So, if they said 17, that would actually be 62. And if you really wanted to get insane with it, which I did, 17 is 62, and then you switch them to 26. Kind of clever if you're really trying to be like a pussy. Like the internet. Which I understand back then. They didn't want me to feel like I was, later on in my life, tricked into selling my soul or whatever. But I didn't even really believe that purgatory was a thing. I thought it was a dream. And I thought, you know what? My mom deserves the money. I kind of wanted to have some fun with some money too, but the goal was always for her. And basically, after those two things didn't work, switching the 2 to a 7, etc., and then flipping them over, I said, all right, so every time, it feels like the internet, every time they pronounce it, like I could sense that they were pronouncing words different, like weirdly. And that I've come to find out that that's like a connection with God, my higher power. Like the internet is forcefully saying this word and like saying it for a reason because it's connected to me or they want me to, you know what I mean? It's like a weird fucking telepathic intuition and vibe. It's not because of schizophrenia. It's not because of any mental illness. Okay. And I'll, if anybody disbelieves me and I'm still around here, which is, I doubt it. I'll show you, or I'll show you the memory files up in heaven. So let's say I heard the word soccer. So that's an S with 2 syllables. S is the NOPQRS. So that's the 19th with 2 syllables. So 26 plus 19, 45. And then, that's just one example of how I did that for a while. So imagine, like, going out into the universe every day, doing deliveries around town, around the Twin Cities, and looking at every license plate, every letter. M would be number 13. E would be number 5. A would be number 1, if it's on a license plate. Apple would be number 27. It's like that's what I was doing for 150 days. You literally you take off the kaleidoscope glasses. It's like you've been tripping on acid for 5 months, and you're like, what the fuck? Every time I see a car, I'm like looking for numbers and words. Every street, every building, everywhere. And then I'm like, holy shit, this is like, I'm losing my mind here. And I can't do it. I haven't done it. I'm like, I can't even, I really thought I was going to be able to do it. I remember, I don't even know where the hell I was. I was just driving and I saw this car pass me in the middle of the night. And I'm looking over, like it was like a box truck. I'm like, I'm looking on the entire car to see if there's any numbers that I've seen today that match with like, I saw 33 3 times today. So that means that's four, because if I saw the 33, then that's four. We're all fucked. I don't even, yeah, there's really not even. This is just when you hear the thunk. But you can't do that. I can't do that. God has been telling me for 14 months, don't do it, Hayden. Don't kill yourself. Do not do it. Don't do it. It'll be worth it. Back in January or February, I'll go with February, I got the vibe from what I felt like was God. It's right around the corner, Hayden. You're almost there. You're almost there. It's been 5 months. Coinky dink. Timing on all of this is pretty gnarly. The timing. 3:34 a.m. That would be number 37. That's the kind of shit, folks, that'll melt your mind and make you rethink everything there is to know. When you realize that, I'm going to put this at the beginning of the episode. That when you realize that the Twin Cities, which is like, I've probably talked about this before, but nobody really seems to take me seriously or give a shit. Which is so insanely bizarre to me that I'm like, I feel like after the 150 days of, I'm trying not to think about all the fucked up shit. Yeah, I know. I thought about that a while ago. So, the City Hall of St. Paul is exactly 8 miles from the City Hall of Minneapolis. Can you believe that? The Twin Cities, which is two major, pretty major cities, under 10 miles from each other. 8. You know what the eighth letter of the alphabet is? H. If you turn the 8 on the side, you get an infinity symbol, which was my first car growing up. A car I spent some time with in a garage for a little bit too long and fell asleep on accident. With the car running. Woke up, the car's running still. Didn't feel sick at all. I felt perfectly fine and I went to school. Just, what, 5.5 hours or something? That's probably like at the most. Probably 4 at the least. Doesn't matter if your windows are up or down. I mean, I feel like it would help if the windows are up. But like most people, yeah, I've talked about. I'm not gonna talk about your eyes bulging out of your fucking like your skull when you got carbon monoxide poisoning. You got like green skin. That's what happens when you get carbon monoxide poisoning. Your eyes start like popping out of your skull, and your skin turns like white and green, and you start foaming at the mouth like a fucking zombie. It's really terrifying, especially if one of your family members finds you. Jesus. So that was the Infiniti QX4, 2001, I believe. Pretty nice vehicle. I liked the interior quite a bit. The leather was very nice, spacious. You know, it was a luxury, kind of a luxury sedan. At least, mid luxury, not, it's not a fucking Land Rover or a Range Rover. But for your first car, 2001, 2 years after I'm born. It's been 2 years since my car accident. How many months after I was born did I fall asleep in that garage? I think it was April or May. So in 5 months, would be that would be 3 years since my first car accident in December of 2021. Huh. Whatever. Who cares? Just the timing of all this shit is crazy. It's almost like unbelievable. Like the dates of all. Yeah, it's so insane. Which none of this really matters all that much, but all of it kind of also matters a lot because it doesn't really matter because nothing really has that much significance in terms of helping me have another vision to get to heaven, you know, because I had one 8 months ago. So that's just where I'm at. And I trust in God and the process and all that. I don't need to be told what to do and what blah 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 with whoever or whatever. No, that's because I trust in the Lord. Hmm. And then right when I start talking about this stuff, I start looking around my room for things to like. It's like so insane. But I'm right. I'm not crazy. That's the fucked up part. I'm treated like I'm crazy when I bring this kind of shit up. Because of what? I talk about like smoking pot or doing meth. It's a bit. It's a joke. It's comedy. Lighten up, folks. I'm joking. I don't get high. Clearly, I talk about that as well. I'm pretty open minded because this is a free god. I'm open minded, open in terms of speech because this is a free goddamn country and I will say whatever the fuck I want. And that's kind of why I talk about drugs and shit like that. It's literally why I do that. Because I think it's funny. I think it's funny. Truly. I'm trying to help people, laugh sometimes. I'm not very funny myself. But, what am I going to go fucking start the car and sit in there for 5.5 hours like a pussy? When I can't even, like, prove it's a dream, which I disproved it actually. I didn't touch on the rest of the approvals and disprovals. I'll do that at the beginning of the next episode. That sounds like a good idea. approvals and disapprovals. This has been a more tried to end it on a light note. Which, what the? Oh my god, my depth perception is so off. Which I just talked about, the lottery and trying to win the lottery for 150 straight days, which I feel like that's like drinking water. You know? Everybody does it. Let's see here. Let's think. You know, I don't know. I don't really have much to say on this episode other than that. A couple times I did get really, 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 really close to winning the lottery. At least twice. So, you know, it's not because I'm crazy. Maybe it's because you're not crazy. Maybe you should get a little bit more crazy and try to win the lottery with me. Or maybe I should just. You know? And maybe the Timberwolves should have fucking done better in the Western Conference Finals. That's honestly probably a little bit my fault. All year long, I've been saying the two best players in the NBA are two white dudes. Nikola Jokic, the Joker. 3 years in a row, he's won MVP. He's a tall, clunky lard of a white dude who doesn't look like he should be on a basketball court at all. But he's won the MVP 3 years in a row. And the other one, Luka Doncic for the Dallas Mavericks. Number 77. And I'm not wrong. I would say they are the best two players in the NBA currently. Two fucking white guys. So that would probably, or maybe I'm just crazy. Um you know, yeah, I don't know really. I don't know what else to say. Uh, See you at the next one.